Questions for thought number 1312. Good morning, everybody. This is Yin Yang with Morsels of a Thought number 1312. We are in California. It is now 5:11 a.m. and Marcus Aurelius Meditations Monday is my favorite stoic day. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're going to go into book 8. And eight, number 128 in book 9. IX means 9, I means 1, X means 10. X being on the, the 1 being on the left of the X means that you subtract. If the one were on the other side, on the right side, it means you would add. So XI would be 11, IX would be 9. Number 1 of book 9. Injustice is a kind of blasphemy. Nature designed rational beings for each other's sake, to help, not harm one another as they deserve. To transgress its will, then, is to blaspheme against the oldest of the gods. So transgressions are a sin against God. We say God, they say logos, they say gods. And it's pretty close to the time of Jesus being born. Okay. And to lie is to blaspheme against it too, because nature means the nature of that which is. And that which is and that which is the case are closely linked, so that nature is synonymous with truth, the source of all true things. To lie deliberately is to blaspheme. The liar commits deceit, and thus injustice, and likewise to lie without realizing it, because the involuntary liar disrupts the harmony of nature, its order. He is in conflict with the way the world is structured, as anyone who deviates toward what is opposed to the truth, even against his will. Nature gave him the resources to distinguish between true and false, and he neglected them, and now can't tell the difference. So if somebody puts a gun to your head, makes you do something. My example is, if somebody puts a gun to your head and makes you do something that's evil, you still have done that evil. In this way, it says that you are still responsible for that evil you have done. So anyway, and then that's in your relationship with God. That's just my example. Okay, next paragraph. And to pursue as good and flee from pain as evil, that too is blasphemous. Someone who does that is bound to find himself constantly reproaching nature, complaining that it doesn't treat the good and bad as they deserve, but often lets the bad enjoy pleasure and the things that produce it, and makes the good suffer pain and the things that produce pain. And moreover, to fear pain is to fear something that's bound to happen, the world being what it is, and that again is blasphemy. While if you pursue pleasure, you can hardly avoid strengthening, you can hardly avoid wrongdoing. Freudian slips. Sorry. Well, if you pursue pleasure, you can hardly avoid wrongdoing, which is manifestly blasphemous. Some things nature is indifferent to. If it is privileged one over the other, if it privileged one over the other, it would hardly have created both. And if we want to follow nature, to be of one mind with it, we need to share its indifference. To privilege pleasure over pain, life over death, fame over anonymity is clearly blasphemous. Nature certainly doesn't. And when I say the nature is indifferent to them, I mean that they honor indifferently at different times they happen indifferently at different times. So to the things that exist and the things that come along, that come into being after them, though some ancient decree through some ancient decree of providence, capital P, the decree by which from some initial starting point it embarked on the creation that we know, by laying down the principles of what was to come and determining the generative forces, existence and change, and their successive stages. I put my glasses. Okay, number 2. Real good luck would be to abandon life without ever encountering dishonesty, or hypocrisy, or self-indulgence, or pride. But the next best voyage, quote, end quote, next best voyage is to die when you've had enough. Or are you determined to lie down with evil? Hasn't experience even taught you that? To avoid it like the plague? Because it is a plague, a mental cancer, worse than anything caused by tainted air or unhealthy climate. An unhealthy climate. Diseases like that can only threaten your life. This one attacks your humanity. Evil attacks your humanity. Number 3, don't look down on death, but welcome it. It too is one of the things required by nature, like youth and old age, like growth and maturity, like a new set of teeth, a beard, the first gray hair, like sex and pregnancy and childbirth, like all the other physical changes at each stage of life. Our dissolution is no different. So this is how a thoughtful person should await death. Not with indifference, not with impatience, not with disdain, but simply viewing it as one of the things that happen to us. Now you anticipate the child's emergence from its mother's womb. That's how you should await the hour when your soul will emerge from its compartment. Or perhaps you need some tidy aphorism to tuck away in the back of your mind. Well, consider 2 things that should reconcile you to death: the nature of the things you'll leave behind you, and the kind of people you'll no longer be mixed up with. There's to next. Hold on a second, sorry. There's no need to feel resentment toward them. In fact, you should look out for their well-being and be gentle with them, but keep in mind that everything you believe in is meaningless to those you leave behind, because that's all that could restrain us, if anything could. The only thing that could make us want to stay here, the chance to live with those who share our vision. But now, look how tiring it is, this cacophony we live in. Enough to make you say to death, come quickly before I start to forget myself like them. So it's, I think it's a reference to dementia. Number 4, to do harm is to do yourself harm. To do an injustice is to do yourself an injustice. It degrades you. Number 5, and you can also commit injustice by doing nothing. Number 6, objective judgment now at this very moment. Unselfish action now at this very moment. Willing acceptance now at this very moment of all external events. That's all you need. Number 7, blot out your imagination. Turn your desire to stone. Quench your appetites. Keep your mind centered on itself. Number 8, animals without the logos are assigned the same soul, and those who have the logos share one too, a rational one, just as all earthly creatures share one earth, just as we all see by the same light and breathe the same air, all of us who see and breathe. Wonderful. I actually have an interesting anniversary today, which is August 5th, 3 years ago, it was my late mother's passing date. And for this to talk about death on the same day, I think is such a coincidence. We have started book 9. Thank you for coming, and goodbye, everyone. Okay, old Kinderhook.